Hello, this is Kavita with Aligned and Soulful Success. And today I want to talk about something that I see a lot and something that I've experienced a lot as an entrepreneur, and that is consuming versus creating, and how you can get caught up in consuming or over consuming instead of creating, especially as an empathic entrepreneur, and also how to tell that that's happening. And then finally, what to do about it. So, even if part of that is appealing to you, I'm going to encourage you to keep listening. So, let's start by thinking about this. Think about the answer to this question as I ask it. How many hours do you work a day? How many hours do you work a week, a month, or a year? Do you know the answer to that question? So, if you're an entrepreneur, there are probably a lot more hours than you think, because there is the emotional and mental time that you spend on your business, thinking about your business when you're not officially working in your business, reading about it, talking about it to others. And so that would also be counted in your work time, right? So whatever your estimation is, the about amount of hours that you actually work. And if you're an entrepreneur, I'm going to ask you to be honest with yourself of what the answer is. Okay. And so I'm not telling you to stop doing that, but just be aware of it, right? The awareness is always important. And then also, if you're a heart centered, conscious, empathic entrepreneur, if your business is part of what you see as your purpose in the world, if it's like a calling for you, then I'm willing to imagine that you really work all the time. You don't have set hours because your brain is always working. Okay. And so notice that I said that your purpose is part of your entrepreneurial journey, because I really talk about the broader definition of purpose going beyond just your work in the world, but really who you are in the world and how you show up in everything that you do. And so it is a multifaceted. And I do talk about that in other podcast episodes. So if you want to hear more about, how I define purpose and how to find your purpose, you can listen to those episodes, and I'll have links available in the show notes for that. But today we're talking about the fact that when you have a business and it's part of your purpose, then you are often all consumed by it, right? It's just so important to you. It's such a part of your life that there's so much time that you spend on your business that's not conscious, right? And so sometimes, especially when things are going not so well, or maybe if things are going really well, this can also happen. You can be on autopilot, overwork, and burn out. Okay. And so that's why this topic is so important, because my desire for you is that you continue to do your work in the world and be able to fulfill part of your purpose through your business and through your work. And if you overwork and you burn out, then you're not going to be able to do that. And so when you are feeling kind of the sense of like, I'm always working, I'm tired a lot, like you don't really feel the motivation for working, some of that is just a natural part of being human. But if it becomes something that happens a lot, then it's time to take a look and see what's happening. Okay. And then also, there is the kind of practical consideration of how you manage your time. And are you managing your time well? And are you putting in time boundaries? And again, I have another episode on time management that I'll link in the show notes. So let me talk about how you can know if you're in this kind of consuming versus creating as an entrepreneur. So I do believe, and I want to be clear to say, that some level of consuming is important, because I consider what you consume as a way to fill your mind and your brain with more knowledge, with support, with growth, whatever you want to learn, right? And so there is an importance to consuming. The problem comes when that's how you spend a good amount of your time or most of your time, and it's contributing to you feeling overworked or burnt out. Okay? And so, one of the ways that you may find yourself overworking is by consuming other people's content and learning. Okay. And so, and as when you do that, the question is, are you consuming the content, learning, and then implementing it? Or are you just continuing to consume to learn? One way this can show up is by mindless social media scrolling. Okay. And so I do this. I've done this. I've catch myself doing it. And so if you find yourself on social media and scrolling, you probably went to whatever platform for a specific purpose, right? Maybe you went to go check on a group that you're part of. Maybe you went to check on what's going on with your friends and have a break from your work. You probably picked a purpose to go onto social media if you are on social media. And then when you get on social media, you can start to scroll, okay, and start to consume that way. And most likely in your network, you have other people who are entrepreneurs or do similar work that you do in the world. And that can naturally ignite comparison. And then unconsciously, or even consciously impact how you feel about your business and the results that you're receiving in your business. And so then you continue to scroll and consume and maybe try to figure out what they're doing in their business, and how are they making it work, and maybe you need to change that, and maybe you're doing something wrong. And so then you start to go down that rabbit hole and you say, oh, they're using this strategy, and maybe then you go and try to learn about that strategy, and then that leads you to another. And so before you know it, a few months down the line, you're still learning about that. Okay, so think about this for a moment. How often do you spend on social media scrolling mindlessly and going down rabbit holes? And then pay attention to how you feel when you're on social media and when it's over, when you turn it off or you put your phone away. And is it positive? Is it inspired? Do you feel excited about your business, or do you feel like you're behind? So pay attention next time you're on. That's my challenge. That's one strategy that I'm going to recommend if this can be one of the things that you catch yourself doing. So, the second thing I touched on when I talked about that social media rabbit hole is more learning. Okay, maybe it's more certifications, more training, more reading, listening mindlessly to a bunch of podcasts, reading book after book, enrolling in courses that you don't complete. So I want to be clear again. I obviously think that it's valuable to listen to a podcast, to read books, to take more training. I do that and I always will do that. And I've made a conscious decision that I will continue to learn and grow and learn new skill as a coach, because I think that there's so much that I can learn, right? There's so much, and it's so interesting to me and it's exciting to me. And I'm reading stuff all the time and listening to all the time to things all the time, listening to podcasts. And the issue again is the over part of that is like when you overconsume instead of actually creating for yourself or for your business. So, how much time do you actually spend reading, taking courses, listening to podcasts? And how much of that time are you using to avoid creating for yourself, for your own business, for your own clients, for creating clients, for attracting your dream clients? How much of that time can be redirected to creating? Most likely, this has been an unconscious process. You are not consciously saying that I'm going to overlearn and not actually create. You probably have convinced yourself that you need to learn all these things, or you have to have this first before you can create. Okay, so it is really important for you to look at the root of the belief. What is it that you really believe? What are you telling yourself about this over consuming? And is it really true? So that's the second way that you could tell. if you're in consumption mode or creation mode, the overdoing it where you don't have as much time left or enough time left or a sufficient time left to create for your business, or you're using it as a way to avoid creating. Another way this can show up is research. So I do this. So one of the assessments that I've taken and that I love is the Colby assessment. And in that, it's like one of my strengths is the researcher, right? That's not what it's called. It's called something else. I can't remember exactly what it's called at this today, right now, in this moment. But I'm a person that fact finder. That's what it's called. And I can find out things pretty easily. It comes easy to me to do research and find out how something started or whatever. And so it's something that comes so naturally to me that I assume everybody can do that, but other people may have trouble focusing long enough to find the research and to research what they're trying to find out. And so for me, what can happen is I can overdo it. So I start to do the research, I get excited, I find the answers, and then I want to learn more and even more and more. And oh gosh, I need to learn more about this. And then it's like kind of like this never ending quest of figuring something out. And that can be a distraction and that can be the over consuming part of things. So I do think there's importance in learning from others that have done what you have done, or learning best practices, or doing some research. The challenges, again, are when you overdo it. And part of that is by avoiding creating, avoiding doing for your business. So there's a balance between researching and then actually taking action. And so the fourth way that this can show up is you looking completely externally for all the answers, right? And so this is related to the other three, where you're social media scrolling, you're trying to learn all these things, you're doing the research, right? And so you think that if you do enough research, if you take enough courses, if you read enough books, if you look enough on social media, that you're going to find the answers to the questions that you have about what to do next with your business, or even what business to start or whatever, right? But the truth is that you are the only one that knows the answer to that question. You know the answer. And so maybe you're looking for someone else to tell you the answer, or you know the answer and you need someone to kind of validate that so you feel like that you're correct. The truth is, you know the truth and you know the answers. If you really go inward and you check in with yourself, that part of you that's not scared, that higher self knows the answers. That part of you knows what the next step is. And so you do the research and you learn, and then you make a decision and take the next step. When you're stuck continuing to search for the answers, your brain is going to look for confirmation that you're wrong, because you might be looking for you're wrong and you're going to find that. And if you ask multiple people what they think, everybody will come with their own opinion and their own lens. So, and it may not be what you want to hear, and they may all give you different answers and confuse you even more. So do the research and then do the internal work. And this is where it's really vital and important and helpful to work with a coach, a skilled coach who will trust that you have the answers and will not tell you what you have to do, but be willing to listen and be able to draw those answers out from you. Because sometimes it's so hard to see yourselves. And so I promised that I would talk about what to do instead, and I did. And so I'm going to summarize for you the ways that you can be in consumption versus creating, and how that's a way to avoid creating, because what creating could do is actually bring you success. It can put you out there. It can expose you to criticism. You may be worried about what people will think, even though it's not conscious. So, especially when the work you do is related to what is your purpose, it can result in you working all the time, but instead of actually creating, it's consuming. Okay. And so some of the ways that this can show up is through the social media scrolling, over learning things, over researching things, and looking for a definitive answer externally for what you need to do next for your business, where you need to focus, and all those things, right? And so, what do you do instead? Stay conscious, stay intentional. When you're on social media, go on and get off. And if you have a hard time doing that, you could set a timer. When you're learning, be really clear about, okay, I'm going to plan and I'm going to learn this, and then I'm going to stop. Okay. And then research. Give yourself a set amount of time that you're allowed to research, right? Give yourself some kind of deadline. In looking for answers externally, do some inner work. Definitely shadow work, dream work, a lot of subconscious work. Work with a coach that knows these things. And so, my wish for you is that you don't get stuck in this over consuming piece of running a business, and instead are consuming, taking in, taking steps from that internal knowing and moving forward in your business, and actually taking steps to move you forward and being able to serve the clients that you're meant to serve and make the difference in the world that you're here to make, and step into your purposeful and profitable business. And so I have something that I'm offering on May 24th at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. It is a free masterclass on how to attract your dream clients. And that the registration link will be in the show notes. It is going to be 75 minutes to 90 minutes. I'm doing live coaching for those people that show up on the call that have questions after I do the teaching. You will leave with practical, tangible ways to attract dream clients, and you will be able to get coached and ask, excuse me, questions. So if you want to register, you can register with the link. I will also have a recording available, and I'll have that recording up for about 10 days after the class. So if you can't make it live, but you really want to listen, then please register, and I will be emailing you the recording. And so I hope to see you there if that's something that you want to learn more about. And if not, I will see you next week on Aligned and Soulful Success. This is Kavita wishing you all the best. Until then, take good care. Bye.